And it's such a, also, but one discipline overlaps with another, on a film crew. It's like, where does cinematography start and end? Where does production design start and end? Where does editorial start and end? What's the influence of the image making on the final film versus, it's a load of people getting together trying to do the best they can. I don't know how you describe what the cinematographer's job is. Cinematography, well, it's simply telling stories with pictures, I suppose, but that's what people say, but I don't think it's quite that, really. I'm not sure it's so much about the picture as like where you put in the audience. In some way that's more important with actually what the frame looks like. I don't know, I can't describe it. One of the nicest times of making a film for me is actually sitting with a director and going through the script and then sort of like figuring, just discussing it, sometimes saying, well, we can do this with an image, we don't need that dialogue, or what if we did it this way, what if, and just, so visualizing a script isn't always just taking exactly what's on the page and okay, what image, where are the actors going to stand, what's the background, what's the light on the act. It's not always just that. It's like, it's playing with the scene in a much more deconstructive way, in a way, The balance of the movement of the camera from the beginning of the film to the end of the film. You might, if you shot one scene and the camera's kind of wandering around handheld between the characters and then suddenly you cut to a scene and it's just sort of static in the corner, well, that is maybe it's interesting, that would make quite an impact, but that's a decision you have to make beforehand. It's a conscious decision. It's not, you can't just do it on the day and think, oh, this would be pretty if we did this. That's you're lost. So I think for me, pre-production is really important, and this time I spend with the director going through the script and getting an understanding of that flow of the film, the way the images will reflect the character and what the characters as individuals and what's going on in their minds. It sounds a bit pretentious, but you do, simple things like how do you want to introduce a character to an audience? Do you want to start straight away, or do you want to gradually reveal that character? Do you want to do that with a location? Do you want to kind of always start with a wide shot of the location so the audience knows exactly where they are, and then you go into the scene? Or do you want to start really tight in an abstract way and then gradually the audience realizes they're in this place they'd never imagined? So all that, it's very hard really to create all kind of, in the complexity and the sort of stress of shooting, it's sometimes hard to kind of come up with those things on the day. Everybody does have ideas on the day and things change, but I think it's really important that you have that prep period, and that's why I say I love sitting with the director and just talking about the script without the pressure of actually having to shoot that day or do anything. You just sit in the office and drink endless cups of tea or coffee and just go through the script and just throw out ideas. I think that's one of the key creative processes myself. But I don't know how to like Stanley Cortez or one of the greats or anything from Hollywood or whatever. I just like the way I light, and I shot documentaries and I gradually learned lighting myself. I never went on a film set. I never watched anybody else work. I've never done that. I've actually never done that in my life. I wonder how they do work. I see a bit of this from time to time. I just do what I do. Oh, I'd read a lot and study films, and in film school, we would have classes on films. Not so much on cinematography, but on films and studying films. But as I say, just in terms of technically what I would do on a set, it was very much a learning process that I would just find out really as I went along. I always started off like on documentaries, making up my own gear. I'd make up solar panels to charge batteries going on documentaries and stuff like that when nobody really was using solar panels for things like that. You know, you just find ways to, you know, to make things work, the ideas that you have. So I'd always make up lights, my own lights, just with household bulbs and stuff like that. And I still do. I still do that on a set. But it's people sometimes walk on a set and say, I've got a ring of, you know, 40-watt bulbs up there, and that's all they got lighting them, and they go, that's kind of weird, you know, but that's what I do.